Hey everyone, this is Jordan, and today I want to talk about 4 games that surprised me the most. First up on the list, we have Patchwork. Now, this is a 2-player versus game about quilting, and I'm a 32-year-old man who has zero interest in quilting, and this just so happens to be one of my favorite games. So I actually won a copy of Patchwork Express, which is the shortened version of this Patchwork game, which is only like 30 minutes anyway. So I don't really know why they came out with a shortened version of it, but either way, when I got this, I was, kind of on the fence about it. It was a free game, so I can't complain about it, but I know my mom is really into arts and crafts. She makes quilts, she sews, all kinds of stuff like that. So I definitely held on to it because I wanted to try it with her, and I did over the holidays last year, and it was a huge hit for my mom, and more surprisingly for myself. And I actually, it's grown to be like legitimately one of my favorite games that I have in my collection. If you've seen my tier list video, which I can link right here, you can check that out. But yeah, I absolutely love this game for several different reasons. Well, one of which is it's an extremely fast setup and teardown. I mean, you can set this thing up in like 2 minutes, as same with tearing it down, super quick. It's really easy to learn and teach. On player turns, you can only do 2 things. You can either buy and place a patch, or you can move your token on the board to gain currency. So it's really simple. Anyone can learn this. Anyone can play this. And another thing that really surprised me and what it showed me was you don't really have to be that interested necessarily in the theme of a game to really enjoy it. And I think that's a testament to how good this game is, and it just really showcases how fun a game like this can be to people who have no interest in quilting. And if you don't know about this game, well, like I mentioned, it's a quilt making game where you have little patches that you buy and you place on a player board, and ultimately it's kind of like a Tetris-like gameplay. You have patches of all different shapes and sizes, and you're trying to make the most beautiful quilt while at the same time not having any blank spaces or very few blank spaces at the end of the game. And the person with the most beautiful quilt, aka the least amount of blank spaces, wins the game. And so yeah, all I can say about this is it's phenomenal. I actually made a post on Reddit about this game, and apparently it's like a meme that I'm just out of the loop of. I've only been playing board games now for like 7 or 8 months. So I was not aware that Patchwork is like a meme, but I think it's earned that status because it's just so good. Anyone can play this, and yeah, I just adore this game. I currently only have Patchwork Express and the main Patchwork game, but I guess there's a lot of different variations. I saw like a Halloween one, so I'm going to be checking out more of the different ones they have. But yeah, this is number one of the most games, or one of the games that surprised me the most. Second up on the list, we have Raccoon Tycoon. So I have talked about this in a few other videos, which I can link up here. But ultimately, if you don't know what this is an auction style game for 2 to 5 players where you can buy and sell commodities. You can buy buildings that are going to help you maximize your profits. You can also hold auctions for railroads. You can do a lot of different things, and it's really interactive, which is a huge point for me. But when I got this game, I was actually at Barnes & Noble, and I had a gift card there, and I knew I wanted to buy a game that was kind of simpler, something like Catan or Ticket to Ride, because I just started a board game group of non-gamers. So I was like, man, I need to find something that's approachable, nothing crazy. I wasn't going to bring like Twilight Imperium to the group. So this actually caught my eye at the store, and due to the art. So if you can't see that, the art is this really adorable Victorian style art with a bunch of different animals. So there's raccoons, there's dogs, cats. It's awesome. And so I looked it up on Google, checked it out on BGG, had really good reviews. It didn't seem to be like hugely popular. So it's kind of like I don't know, I think it's like a sleeper hit. I'm relatively new to board games in general, so you guys might know better than me, but overall, this game blew my expectations away because There is so much more depth than I initially thought. The amount of strategy that you can have in this game is actually crazy. Between strategizing when you sell your commodities in order to lower the value of them, or which buildings to buy and which ones to pair the buildings with, so you're getting this really cool engine that's working along the way. And overall, I can't recommend this enough. It really, really exceeded all the expectations I had for this, and is definitely a huge, huge surprise hit. Third up on the list, we have Under Falling Skies. Now, Under Falling Skies is a game where America is under attack from aliens, and it is your job to save humanity. Now, this game, I was on the fence for two main reasons. The first of which is it is true solo, one player only. And I feel like there's this weird stigma around solo gaming, especially solo board gaming. Ironically, video gaming doesn't really have that stigma, but the thought of playing a game just completely by yourself is kind of weird for some people, and I admit it was kind of weird for me as well. But the other reason was I'm not hugely into the sci-fi space alien theme, so wasn't super interested in that. But I heard a lot of good things on Reddit and BGG, as well as YouTube. And I was actually on Facebook Marketplace, where I found a copy brand new in box for $10, and I think it retails for $30. Didn't necessarily need it, didn't necessarily want it, but $10 is $10. So I picked it up, came home, played through it once, and it clicked. I immediately could tell why this game is so widely talked about, especially in the solo board gaming community, and that's because it's freaking awesome. First of all, it is pretty easy to learn. I think it took me maybe 15 minutes, I would say, to really get a good grasp on the rules, and there is a ton of depth. That was another thing that really surprised me. It is a dice rolling, dice assigning game. I'm going to go ahead and make that up. But you roll die and then you assign them in different rooms on your player board. And each room does something different. It may research more about the aliens. It might give you energy to perform more actions. Or it might even shoot down enemy ships. So there is so much depth to the game, and there's so much variability because of that dice rolling. Also in the box you have a double-sided board, so you can play on both normal and expert difficulty. There are different cities you can play through, and there is a full-fledged campaign in the game, which I haven't even touched, which I'm super excited to play that. I am going to be posting that on the channel, so feel free to keep an eye out for that. But long story short, this game blew all of my expectations away. I did not think a solo game could be this fun, and this really is just awesome. I can't recommend it enough. Under Falling Skies, number 3 pick. The fourth and final pick is going to Great Western Trail. Now, Great Western Trail is a game where players take on the role of a rancher, and you are making your way to Kansas City, buying cattle along the way in order to sell it once you get to Kansas City. And the person with the most victory points at the end of the game wins, and that sounds so lame when I describe it. And that's exactly what I thought about it before I got the game. I was like, man, that game sounds whack. I do not want to buy it, but Undaunted is one of my favorite games of all time. I love deck builders. That's probably my favorite mechanic that I've played so far. And so I was looking at other games that offered that. Great Western Trail popped up several times from a lot of different places, Reddit, BGG, YouTube, wildly popular. And I was on the fence. I was skeptical. I was like, man, that's just the theme. That was the big thing, man. I don't care about cattle. That sounds really boring. Reminds me of like the Oregon Trail. It just, wasn't really interested, but went against all of my criticisms I had, and I picked it up. And I actually had it at my house for like a month and a half, and I kept bringing it to board game nights at my friend's house, and nobody wanted to play it. So it didn't get played for like almost 2 months after owning it. But eventually I forced one of my buddies to play it with me, and I immediately fell in love with the game. I mean, the deck building is just a small portion. There's a lot of other mechanics in this game, and I was not ready for how deep this game is. I will note that the setup is fairly lengthy. It's a hefty game. There's a lot of pieces, a lot of cards. a lot of things to do when you set up. It's also pretty long to teach and long to play. This game's long in kind of all aspects, but after playing it several times, I completely love it. I am okay with the setup. It does not bother me. I love to teach it. There is an incredible amount of strategy that goes into this game. Apparently people play it competitively, which is hilarious to me, but that's awesome. I can totally see why, because there's just so many things you can do. Some of the main things are hiring, different workers. So you can hire builders who unlock several different buildings, which are going to help maximize your options. They might give you more movement. They might allow you to buy cows or to sell some of your cards in order to make a lot of money. You can also hire engineers who are going to help you move your train along the track at the top of the board, which allows you to sell to different cities at a cheaper cost. And you can hire cowboys, which allow you to purchase cows at discounted prices. Now, those are just some of the things you can do in this game, but honestly, it just blew my expectations I had for a game like this out of the water. I've said that like 1,000 times, but I can't say that enough for this game. And I feel like when you watch a movie, for example, or you read a book and it really changes your perspective on something, that's what this game did for me, especially regarding themes when it comes to board games. Like I said, I did not care for cattle and selling cows, but after playing this several times, I was like, I wonder what it takes to be a rancher. Like, can I do that? Is that possible? No, but for real, this game, I absolutely adore it. It is the only game that I've rated a 10 on BGG, and I feel like that is a statement to how great of a game this is. And I just recently bought the Rails to the North expansion for this, so I'm super hyped to try that out. I might even do a playthrough of that on the channel. But yeah, this game is the game that definitively shattered my expectations and surprised me the most out of any game I've played so far. And yeah, I love this game. 10 out of 10. Can't recommend it enough. And that is it for the games that have surprised me the most. If you guys have any other recommendations on off-the-wall games or other games you think that might surprise me, leave a comment below with what you think. And if you did like this, give me a like and a subscribe. If you hated it, please dislike this and roast me in the comments. But this is Jordan here at Totally Bored. I'll see you next time.